Hey guys, this is Max at MaksWerks. We're back here in the garage working on the KTM. This is part 2 of the series, and this one's going to be fairly rudimentary. I'm going to cover spark plug changes, oil changes, and basically putting the stock jetting back into the carb to see if we can get it running a little bit better. And then maybe I'll take you guys for a little spin on the bike here inside the property. In general, I just want to point out, these are the products I use. So if you work for Shell PR, NGK PR, or K&N PR, please let me know and feel free to sponsor me and send me some stuff. But I would really appreciate that. But I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. Also, Rocky Mountain ATV. I buy pretty much all of my special parts like this from them. Because their prices are awesome, their customer service is really good. So, like I said, I use these parts because I trust these brands. Everybody out there has got their own opinion. This is the stuff I use. So for this bike, we're looking at a K&N 155 and a K&N 157 oil filters, because there's 2 inline oil filters. We're going to clean the oil screens, and we're going to drain the oil, which comes out of 3 different plugs on the bottom of this engine. This is the K&N 5201 kit. It's about $100 bucks. It's a little pricey in my opinion, but it replaces the entire air filter assembly in this bike. Rotality oil, 13 bucks at Walmart. I use it in everything from my Triumph to my 2-stroke to everything. I use it in everything. I've never had an issue. NGK spark plug. This is going to be a DC PR8E. Which is what the user manual recommends. Spark plug in this engine is fine, but I just want to put in a brand new one because it's like $2 bucks. It gives me a totally good baseline. I know that I'm not going to have a failure on that end. So let's get to it. So this just gives you guys a quick idea of how to remove the carburetor. Basically, the engine is, I'm sorry, not the engine. The gas tank is basically held on by one 8mm screw. We got a couple of screwdriver points right here. Basically use band clamps, and then we can just pull it right out. So here we are from the other side. So we loosened the band clamps to the engine, to the airbox. This is going to be a 4mm hex right here. Basically just removes this cover right here on the carburetor. We'll set that aside. And now you're going to want to use a 10mm wrench to basically just back these out, and then you can actually just do this by hand. This will back out the lock nut, and then it takes a little fiddling. But there you go. And you can see right here I have a blue zip tie. This lets me know it's always the one that goes on top, and I always do that. It's kind of a force of habit thing now that I recommend to everybody. You know. So there we are. We got all the lines off, and here's this breather line from the crankcase that goes right here. You just pop it off when you're ready. And now what we're basically going to do is we're going to rotate the carb and take it out from the other side. So here we are back with the carburetor again. So I don't really like this one. These quick adjust needles are great, but this design, a lot of eBay stuff sells it. It's really hard to grip in my opinion. I don't really like it. It never comes out with the little bits. So there we go. There's some of the bits. So we're actually going to replace it with this guy from Tusk Racing, which I got from Rocky Mountain. I just like it better because it's got a little bit more grip to it. But it's mostly a personal preference thing. So since the last time we cleaned it, so if you're looking for a video on how to clean your carburetor, take a look at part 1. I go into detail how to break all of this down. But basically right now, all we're going to do is we're going to pull the bowl. We're going to pull the bowl eventually. And then we're going to basically replace the main jet with We're going to replace the main jet with a 185, which is what came stock on this bike. And then I'm going to replace the pilot jet with a 42, which is what came stock on this bike. And then we're going to reset the clip to the 4th position, which, you guessed it, came stock with this bike. Seem to have misplaced my little trusty sheet of knowledge, but those were the settings as I remember them. So there's the bowl. Pops right off. Let's see. So I got these Can Hex main jet. This is the 178 I got just in case. This is going to be our 185 main jet. So there's that guy. So this is going to be an 8mm, which is used to remove the main jet holder assembly. And then again, we're going to use an 8mm to hold it in place, then a 6mm to remove the actual jet. So there goes the jet. And if we take a look at it, in the last week it hasn't gotten any dirtier, so we're going to throw this in the bag over here. Then here is our 185 main jet, and I don't know if you can see that or not in the camera. But so what we're going to do is we're just going to screw it in here. We're going to set this, and then we're going to just tighten it down. And this doesn't need to be super duper tight, it just needs to be tight. So we slide this back over the needle and put this back in, and the reason I did it like this is to prevent damage to the needle. Next we got to remove the super huge pilot jet that the previous owner used for some reason, and replace it with our stock 42mm. Oops, that's the air jet. I should have known that. The pilot jet is almost always directly behind the main jet because it feeds up into the... So there's our old friend, Mr. 50 pilot jet, which I still have no idea why somebody used this. But we're going to replace it with this, which is a 42 pilot jet. And obviously just looking at them, you can't tell any difference, which is good, but they actually have different numbers on them. So now we can actually just put the bowl back on, because that's all we had to do down here. So now we can just put this bowl back on. And I usually just line it up using this guy right here. There we go. Okay, so here's our Tusk off-road racing fuel adjustment screw. Yikes. That's what we want to see. And the difference I like about this is it actually includes 2 metal shims. One that goes on each end of the spring. I don't know if the camera can catch that or not, but there's a metal shim, a spring, a metal shim, and then this little rubber O-ring goes right on top of that. And this whole assembly just slips right in here. And you want to screw it all the way down until it's hand tight. There we go, you can feel the spring compress. So that's it. So if we look at right here, let's just say that's it right there. Right there, right on the edge of that 4. So if we go right to the edge of the 3, or right to the edge of the 1, I'm sorry, that's 1 turn, and then we want to go to the other edge of the 1, that's 1.5 turns, and that's what it's set to at the factory, according to the manual. And now we're going to flip this over and go after this top section right here to change the needle clip. And as you can see right here, I currently have it set to the 3rd notch. It's supposed to be set to the 4th notch for this configuration. So what you want to do is you want to take something fairly thick and sturdy, put this side down, and apply a little pressure, and this pops right off. And then we reinstall it the exact same way. So put on the 4th notch right there, set it down on something nice and sturdy, clicks right in. So you can see right there it's on the 4th notch. And then here you can drop it back in. And another thing that most people don't understand is that to make small adjustments, rich lean adjustments, you can do that with the carburetor still on the bike. It's actually fairly easy to get this top cover off while the carb is still on the bike, and make adjustments basically in the field. So remember, if you move the clip upwards, you're going to make the mixture leaner, because the clip basically taper end stays further down into the main jet. If you move the clip down, you're going to make it richer. And this is the SX, so it's going to be set probably to the richest that you want on like a stockish bike. So now I'm going to get the carburetor back into the bike. And get the gas tank back on, and we'll get the air filter installed. Alright guys, so got the carburetor back in, and now I'm just going to unbox this and talk about some of the stuff that's in here. So again, this is the KTM 5201 kit. Let's see what all is in here. There's that, there's that, there's that, there's this guy, there's this guy, and these guys. So let's see what all is actually in here. So this right here is going to be your base. This is going to go basically a normal dirt bike air filter. Just has a screw in the middle and just sits on this lip right here. Because this is a hard filter, they include one of these, and that's part of the reason this kit is so expensive. So they got this little thing, which I always stick inside next to the air filter. Lots more KTM stickers, a black and a white. It's wonderful. Something, something, million-mile warranty, something, something, whatever. Installation instructions are always good. We'll keep an eye on those in a minute. But so these filters come pre-oiled, which is why there's no oil included in this kit. And there we go. So this is the little cap piece that sits in the middle. And then this right here, this is also part of the reason why this kit is so expensive. This is aluminum, and this is really a pretty nice filter, and of course it's made in the USA. So looking at this, basically you're going to install this, then you're going to install this, probably like that, and then you're going to install this in the front, which is like a plug. And then if we set this stuff aside, we'll look at this other bag that we got. We got lots of little bolts. Little bolts are good. You just dump those guys out right here. Those are probably going to hold the main filter to the anchor. What is this? Oh, and this is going to be our center nut. So this is going to go through and hold everything in place. So as you can see, this is, I mean, yeah, it's kind of expensive, but this is really a high quality kit. And it's not just your regular little uni filter. This is, you know, several pieces, and everything is machined. This is machined aluminum, and so is this, and it's really quite nice. This is air filter sealing grease. And in general, since I'm riding on the street, this isn't really too much of a concern, but I'll use it anyway. But if you're doing dirt riding, you really want to use this because it keeps all the little grease and grit out of the edges. So let's start getting it installed on the car, or on the bike. So here we are on the bike. There's the side cover right here, which is held on by two 8mm screws, and then there's an 8mm bolt right here that holds the back shield on. This right here, there's a hook right in here, and you basically just push this in and push it off, and then out comes your air filter. Out comes most of your air filter. Let's see. Oh, that's just it. So, twin air filter, you can see this one's got the screen on it. It's pretty nasty falling apart. We're just going to set that aside for a minute. So there's this rubber grommet right here that basically just keeps it together. Okay, it took me a second to figure this out, but basically this was originally put on here, and this is actually two pieces, which makes a shit ton more sense now. So this actually mounts in the back side, and then this mounts like this, and that's what all those screws are for. As you can see, I got this all installed. Soak up some of that oil. So we put a small bead of grease around this. This is the main filter. So let's see. It's going to be installed actually upside down. It appears. So we got the air filter back in and everything closed up, and you can see that thing looks sexy down there. But I know I told you guys we were actually gonna do the oil change next, but I forgot about the spark plug. This is kind of a pain on this bike unless you remove this guy, then it's a lot easier. But basically what I do is I just drop that socket down there and use kind of a wobble bit. As you can see, it's quite black because this bike had a huge pilot jet. And there's our new guy. So we're actually going to put this in here because this is a totally usable, workable spark plug. Set that aside. So here we got everything reassembled except for the seat because it's still got the battery tender on it. If we go under here, pop the choke. So generally step one of an oil change on a dirt bike is to remove the skid plate. When you remove the skid plate, you want it to look a lot like this skid plate. See, there's some dirt, some dust, some shit, but this thing is solid carbon fiber. There's no real damage except for a few small spots, and most importantly, there's no oil, there's no grease down here, which means the bike's not leaking anything. We just set that aside. This is a cool trick I saw in Sport Rider magazine. If you turn the handlebar to the left, or all the way to the right if you're right-handed, you can slip the center stand, kickstand, or whatever, or not the kickstand, but the track stand like this. And then if you set the wheel straight, it wedges the wheel against the frame and keeps the bike standing up perfectly still. Unless you drain stuff out of the bottom without getting your stand all messy. Alright, so if we get down to the bike, on the other side I just removed this guy right here, where you pour the oil in. And if I bring you down underneath the bike, you can see there's the main drain plug right here. This right here is one of the oil filter screens. And then I believe this is a secondary drain, and there should be, and this is the secondary screen. And then up here, oil filter 1 and oil filter 2. So we're going to start by draining all the oil out of the bike, and then we'll replace the filters. So the next step, once we've removed the filler, is this guy right here. And this is your main drain plug, and this is a 13 millimeter. And this plug is actually magnetic, so we can here's the magnetic plug and O-ring we just removed. Now as we kind of let the oil drip right in here, right there you can see that, this is screen number 1, and so we're going to take it out and clean it. And it's going to be an 8 millimeter hex head, or some people actually have like a bolt cover. Unfortunately, that bit down there wouldn't come out. So the one right there on the left is an engine mount, and the one on the right is going to be one of our screens that we need to clean. So there's the filter we just pulled out, and we're just going to hit it with brake clean it up and stick it back in. Now we're going to remove the two paper filters that are located here and here. And they're going to be basically just a bunch of 8 millimeter screws. And then as soon as we're done with this, we can put the plug back in and we can actually fill the bike with oil. So there's both of those screws out. This one's kind of hard. You got to basically break it loose with a socket because of this bar right here, and then work it out by hand. And then this just pops right off. Be careful, there's an O-ring right there, and you want to put the O-ring right back on the cover. And then there's our filter, which you basically take a pair of needle nose, shove them in, and do it like that. That's going to be your long filter. Unfortunately, the downside of this is there's going to be oil going everywhere.